Hi. So tonight I want to tell you a little bit about something that happened to me, an experience. But first, today I posted a quote, and I'd like to read it to you. It says, "Sometimes when things are falling apart, they may actually be falling into place." And I have found this is so true. So you know, rather than get stuck on the way things can look so crazy and so I mean, not bad, but can, I mean, in some perspectives they can look bad, or just look like, why is this happening? Maybe it's to guide you to a better place. And I want to give you a little example about that. Um, I was living up near San Francisco, and I actually was caring for my father, who was, he was passing. He was getting older, and he was getting ready to die. And I took care of him. I lived with him. I took care of the house and everything. And towards the end, I'd gotten somebody to come and to help me watch him. And when he died, um, his intention had been for me to keep his house. Um, I have a brother, and he was going to give him everything else. And he'd asked me if he left me the house, would I leave it to my nephew? And I said, yeah, of course I would. Um, there were some things that happened. Um, I don't want to call anybody out on anything, but somebody managed to get my dad's will changed. And so the case was that I didn't get the house. That it was basically to be split between my brother and I, and we would have to sell it. And it was difficult because this was somewhere I had lived for 23 years, actually 26 years. And I also had a business there. I had a full hair salon in the garage that had been built. So I had a full business there. I ran my business. I lived in home. I had animals. I had, the whole works. I'd lived there all my life. I had all my friends lived there. Everything I did, all my activities, it was where I was raised, and any family that I had, and I knew a lot of people. Anyway, it got to the point, and it was very interesting because at first, I looked for somewhere that I could rent up there, and until I figured out what I wanted to do, and I couldn't find anywhere. I couldn't find one place. I had one cat and one dog, and I could not find any place that would take me. So I realized I was going to have to move, and I was trying to figure out where I was going to go. And I kind of felt cheated out because it was like I had to leave where I had everything and go somewhere new where I had nothing. Um, but I didn't have a choice. So I bucked up and I just did what I had to do, and I packed up the house, and I decided to move somewhere where I'd gone on vacations. I'd always felt very connected to the place. It's in Monterey, and I felt like I went home when I went there. So, and I knew one person that lived there who ended up moving before I moved there. But I was closer to another town where I knew some people. So I felt like, well, at least, I have some bases to touch, that I know some people. And so I just took the dive, and so I said, okay, the realtor said, we're selling the house, and, you got to get out. And I had not been able to find anywhere down in Monterey either to rent. And so I said, okay, I've got literally, I think I had a month, to find a place because I had to get out. And so I remember hearing about two places. Um, One of them actually had no pictures. I couldn't see. I mean, I think I saw a picture of the front of a house, and that was it. I had no idea how many rooms it had. I mean, what it had. So anyway, I decided to fill out the application for it, and the problem I was having, it was a very, very busy time. I think it was right before school was starting, so rentals would get grabbed right away. And it was very difficult. In fact, and I was, a couple hours away. So the problem was every time that I would find something and I would say, I'm going to come see it. But before I'd get here, I would get a call that it was already rented. So anyway, I found two places and I made an appointment for both. And I was on my way down and I got a call while I was on the driving down that one of the places was already rented out. So there went one. Well, I thought, okay, I have at least one. And so I was early. And believe me, I think it's all universe that guides us and takes us to where we're supposed to be, because I got here early. I was about half an hour early. So I parked and I just waited and I watched the person that had a 3:00 appointment. She went up and she came down, and then I had the next, which was 3:30, and I went on up, and the guy looked at me and said, "Who are you?" And I said, I'm your 3:30. And he said, "I don't have one." And I was like, oh, so he never got my application. Anyway, he said, "Since you're here, come on in, come look at it." And so I did. And then I said to him later, I said, "Well, how are you going to decide who gets the place?" And he said, whoever is the best, you know. And there were 11 people that saw the place that day. And I remember when I walked in, I took one look at the most beautiful view, surrounded by forest and trees, was the ocean. And I just thought, you know what? I don't even care what the house looks like. If I can just look at this every day, that's it. So anyway, loved it, left, went home. And I remember I talked to a friend, lovely, wonderful, spiritual friend, and she said, I got a hit. She said, try offering just a little bit of money. I offered $25 more is what I did. And the next morning I got the call that I got the place. So when I ended up coming down and moving in, another beautiful thing that happened was I brought everything. I had everything I'd had for all these years up in this other house. And so I was unpacking and I found this notebook. And in the notebook, it said, "I want to live in the forest with an ocean view." And I don't even remember when I'd written it a couple of years before. And I remember I looked at that and I went, whoa. And here I am. And this house felt like I had lived here before. I saw spirits outside at night. I even had a new friend that came over, and I just didn't want her to freak out. And I said, I don't mean to sound, like I'm kind of woo-woo, but hey, I have noticed that it's like you see spirits walking by on the outside. You catch your eye and you'll see movement. And I said, so I just wanted to let you know so you don't get spooked out. And later, I remember hearing her tell a friend of hers that, because she thought I was kind of cuckoo. And then she saw one. And she said, "Oh my God, you were right." Anyway, what I want to share with you is I felt like I was losing everything. I felt like I was the one that had to move away. I was losing everything I'd known, everywhere I'd lived, all my friends, all my connections, my business, everything. And I really felt like, why is this happening to me? I'd gone through the death of my beloved father, the rest of my family, everybody just absolutely, very small family, but imploded. So we weren't close anymore. It was a terrible time. And it was difficult. And then I had to leave. And I remember thinking, why? And then I got sick on top of it. But what I found is it was the biggest gift I could ever have had, because it gave me the space to where I was finally not taking care of anybody else. I had time for myself. I got into my spiritual practice. I got into my connecting with my soul, with me. And I I am not even the person that I was. And I feel so blessed because it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I couldn't see that back then, but I still went with it, but I didn't see it. I felt like everything was falling apart, and how was I ever going to, build a life, and how could this be what I was supposed to be doing? And yet it was exactly where I was supposed to be. And I found the place that is where it's given me the privacy. It's away from everybody else. It's a beautiful place to walk my dog. I'm in the forest all the time. I'm with nature. I can meditate. I can look at the ocean at night with the moon. I mean, it's beautiful. And if I hadn't just kept going forward, and I hadn't just said, well, I just have to go forward, because, you can try to hold on and stay where you are, but it's, when change happens, it's time to move, and it's time to move forward. And so when it feels like everything is falling apart, it's really falling into place. So I just wanted to leave that little nugget with you tonight. Lots of love.